Today, we're talking about how to actually manage money like the 1%. Because if you want to build real wealth, you have to start thinking about money the way the wealthiest people in the world think about it, not the way the internet tells you to. But here's the thing, I'm not going to give you some stock pick or some real estate deal because that is not what you need. What you need is to understand how the 1% actually think about money, the specific things they do differently, and why almost everything you've been told about investing is completely backwards. So these are the biggest lessons I've learned managing money for the ultra wealthy. And if you apply even a few of them, you'll be ahead of the 99% of the rest. I know this because managing money is all I do. I've spent 15 years in this business. I run a hedge fund that's beat the S&P by 20% over the past 6 months. And I've spent time sitting across the table with some of the wealthiest people in the world, learning exactly how they think. There's this common belief that the ultra wealthy have access to better information, or that they get tipped off before everyone else does, like the game is rigged in favor of the big guy and against the little guy. But that is not actually true. The reality is that the way the rich prefer to manage their money is by using extreme amounts of leverage. And I'm not talking about the leverage you hear about from some influencer. I'm talking about the difference between inputs and outputs. The bigger the difference between what you put in and what comes out, the greater the leverage. The ultra wealthy are always obsessed with this equation. And when it comes to investing, there are two extremely high leverage routes they take. Ironically, this first one is going to sound insultingly simple to many. The ultra rich buy an index fund, automatically reinvest the dividend, contribute monthly, and never touch it. Now, let's talk about how this influences leverage. Those 4 steps take 5 minutes to set up, and you only have to do it once. Open a brokerage account, buy SPY or VOO, turn on automatic dividend reinvestment, turn on monthly contributions, and then you walk away. From an ultra high net worth perspective, the difference between the input here, 5 minutes one time, and the output, 6 to 8% annualized returns for the rest of your life, is massive. That is extreme leverage. The second route is that they don't even do it themselves. They write a check to a financial advisor or a hedge fund manager, as in my case, and let someone else run it for them. The input is writing a check. The output, depending on who's managing it, is outsized returns every single year with zero ongoing effort on their part. They don't have better information. They don't get news faster than you do. Insider trading is definitely not what you think. The ultra wealthy value their time over everything and anything else, and they get what looks like extraordinary results by putting in less effort than it takes to even watch the rest of this video. This naturally raises the question, if the ultra wealthy are spending so little time on their investments, what are they actually doing with their time? Now, when you picture the ultra wealthy, you're probably picturing lavish vacations, private jets, yachts in the south of France. And yes, that is a benefit of being ultra wealthy, but that's not actually how they spend the majority of their time. In fact, the wealthiest people I know are some of the hardest workers out there. One of our clients is a turnaround specialist whose firm bills by the hour, and he has worked 100 hours a week for at least the last 3 decades and still finds time to work out in the gym at 2 o'clock in the morning. The wealthiest people in the world spend the majority of their time making money, running businesses, operating businesses, acquiring businesses, building their networks, developing higher value skills so they can earn more. Because what the ultra wealthy have built is what I call a money growth flywheel. Here's how it works. They set up their investments, whether that is an index fund route or the hedge fund route. That takes almost no time. Then they spend the rest of their available time making more money so they can feed more money into those very high leverage investments. Money comes in, they already know exactly where it goes. Make $1 million this year, write the check to the hedge fund manager. There's no deliberation and no debate about where the money goes. The system is already built. They focus obsessively on their core competency. And for almost all of them, that core competency is not investing. It's acquiring skills that let them earn more per hour than anyone else in their field. The average person has it backwards. They spend hours a week researching stocks and almost no time increasing their actual income. The ultra wealthy spend almost no time researching stocks, yet they spend all their time increasing their income. because they know the investment side is solved. The income side is where the real work is. But if the ultra wealthy are investing this way, how do they get diversified? Everyone tells you the same thing. Diversify. Spread your money across different assets or asset classes. Take somebody in the upper middle class worth $1.5 million. What do? They follow the Jim Cramer advice, so they put a fifth in real estate, a fifth in an index fund, a fifth in private equity, a fifth in fixed income, and a fifth in crypto. Now they are diversified. They did what everyone on financial media told them to do. That is middle class thinking, and that's exactly what keeps people locked into that middle class. The ultra wealthy don't do that, and the reason is simple. Diversification only works on the way up. Think about it. In a normal year, one asset class might do better than another. Real estate might outperform stocks, next year private equity might be the winner, and the year after that, stocks might beat everything else. So yes, spreading across asset classes smooths out the ride. But the second you hit a real bear market or a recession, all of it goes down together. So if diversification only works on the way up, is it actually helping you, or is it just making you feel smart? The wealthiest people in the world got wealthy by concentration. Jeff Bezos, one thing. Mark Zuckerberg, one thing. Bill Gates, one thing. Almost every ultra wealthy person on the planet got there focusing obsessively on one thing they understood better than anyone else. Now, speaking of thinking about investments, everywhere you look, the message is the same. Track your money, stay informed, check the news, be on top of your investments, watch CNBC in the morning. If you care about your money, watch it. That is what you've been told your entire life. But the ultra wealthy do none of it. The wealthiest people I've worked with barely look at their statements. Some of them go months or quarters without logging in. And it's not because they don't care about their money. They care about their money more than anyone else. But they understand something most people don't. Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett's mentor, said it best. In the short term, the market is a voting machine, but in the long run, it's a weighing machine. What that means is this. Day to day, the market is irrational. It reacts to headlines, to tweets, to rumors, to panic, to greed. Short term, prices are basically random noise, but over long enough time horizons, the market does get it right. It weighs the actual value of what you own, and eventually that value shows up in the price. The ultra wealthy have been through boom and bust cycles. They've learned that short-term price movement tells them almost nothing about whether their investment was correct. And long-term, the things they concentrated in, the things they understand, do get weighed correctly. There's nothing that a daily check-in is going to accomplish because the system is already running. Looking every day would just introduce emotion, time, and distractions that the ultra wealthy feel come at actually a huge cost. What the average person is hoping their investments will do is grow every day. The ultra wealthy are completely focused on the long term. Any attention they give to the short term is actually attention stolen from better use of their time. Which brings us to one thing the ultra wealthy know that everyone else does not. You've probably been in a group chat where friends are asking each other, do we buy here? Has Nvidia come down enough? Has Bitcoin come down enough? Is this rally sustainable, or should we wait for a pullback? The fear is that as stocks go down, they're going to keep going down, so you should sell now. And as stocks go up, they're going to keep going up, and you're going to miss your chance to get in. That fear is what makes the average investor believe that timing the market is an actual profitable endeavor. But here is the hard math. Over the past 30 years in the S&P 500, if you missed just the 10 best days, your total returns were cut in half. 10 days over 30 years. That is what separates a full return from a mediocre one. And here's the part that makes timing impossible. The 10 best days don't happen when everything feels great. They happen in the middle of recessions and bear markets. The days people panic out of the market are often the exact right days before the biggest one-day recoveries. So the person trying to be clever, selling when things look bad, is the exact person missing the days that actually matter the most. The ultra wealthy, they don't play that game. They stay invested always because they know the upside is concentrated in a handful of days nobody can predict. And the cost of missing even a few of them is enormous. On top of that, remember the thread running through this entire video. The ultra wealthy value their time more than anything else. Trying to time the market takes an enormous amount of mental energy, watching charts, reading analyst reports, checking positions, and at the end of all that work, the best case scenario is returns that are worse than if you just stayed invested and did nothing. Maximum effort, minimal output. So they don't do it. They stay in, they stay long, and they let time do what timing cannot. Which brings us to the last thing the ultra wealthy do differently, and honestly, it might be the most important one. The goal for the average investor is to get rich, to make as much money as possible, big wins. The ultra wealthy, they don't think that way at all. In fact, they pay a lot of attention to losing less than making more. And this is where a concept comes in that almost nobody outside of professional finance talks about. It's called the Sharpe ratio, and it's the single most important number the ultra wealthy actually care about when they're evaluating where to put their money. Let me explain it to you in the simplest way possible. The Sharpe ratio is a score that tells you how much return you're getting for the amount of risk you're taking. High return with low risk, high Sharpe ratio. High return with high risk, like Bitcoin, low Sharpe ratio. In other words, Sharpe ratio measures the quality of the return, not the size of it. Here's how to understand why that matters. Bridgewater Associates is the largest hedge fund in the world, hundreds of billions of dollars under management. And since 2005, their flagship Pure Alpha fund has returned 4.5% per year, almost half of an index fund. So a normal person looking at that asks an obvious question. Why does anyone give them money? If they return less than the market, why is the largest hedge fund in the world the largest hedge fund in the world? The answer is that the ultra wealthy are not comparing Bridgewater to the S&P 500 on returns. They're comparing it on a risk-adjusted return. And on that metric, Bridgewater has historically delivered very steady returns with much smaller drawdowns than the broader market. When the market's down 30%, Bridgewater is down not that much. And this is where I'll bring it back to our own fund. Our fund runs at a 3 Sharpe ratio, which means for every unit of risk we take, we get 3 units of reward. That's the game the ultra wealthy are actually playing. Not biggest returns, best returns per unit of risk. The reason the ultra wealthy don't feel the need to check their statements each day is because with the right investments, they actually don't even feel like they're taking on large amounts of risk. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this entire video, it's this. The ultra wealthy are focused on leverage in every single part of their life, and especially in their investments. They have a very long-term time horizon. They invest in the same way that got them to be ultra wealthy in the first place, and they understand that this is a long-term game. Now, even implementing one of these into the way you manage your own money is going to, at a minimum, save you a ton of wasted time. And at the most, it's going to let you compound your capital. So now you know how the 1% actually think about money and investing. But knowing the principles is only half the equation. You do need the right strategy. So click this video right here because I actually went and tested 100 different investing strategies to find the one that consistently outperforms the S&P 500. And I break down exactly what it is and why it works so well in this video, so I'll see you over there.